Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
I can't tell you when's the last time I got so serious about something like this Slapshot remake discussion. And we've had some really good ones coming in here. Jeff in Winnipeg, Camilla says the Baldwin brothers for the Hansons. Wayne in Victoria agrees with my Zach Galifianakis as Denis Lemieux. Denis Lemieux, continuons sa saison. Who would be Dickie Dunn? I feel like Elliot Friedman should play Dickie Dunn. But I think that Billy Bob Thornton is a slam dunk as Reg Dunlop, because this is a very, very important role. This would be the role that might define Billy Bob Thornton's career.
It's the role.
It's the role. And I will go along with Billy Bob Thornton as Reg Dunlop. That's how big of a fan I am of his and of Reg Dunlop's, and nobody has come close to anybody else.
Somebody mentioned Steve Carell. Steve Carell maybe is Jim Carr.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
He could be Jim Carr. That works for me.
No. The guy whose idea this was in the first place, Robin Wildy, he's watching in PA. He says Liam Neeson as Joe McGrath. Liam Neeson's way too cool to play Joe McGrath. Way too cool.
Somebody mentioned
John in Winnipeg. John Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
As Joe McGrath.
Yeah. Slam dunk.
Perfect.
Oh, how about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Brand new episode, the end of the week. It's a Friday. We reserve Fridays for football around here, particularly in the summer. We're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. Got a really big show for you today, everybody. The Moose is with us. He's in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, where he continues to work and broadcast the Canadian Little League Baseball Championship. I'm here in Calgary. We're live on the Game Plus television network. I might add 300,000 homes in the beautiful province of Alberta alone on TELUS Channel 924. Also WQEE Radio in Atlanta, podcast and YouTube Live. Coming up on the program today, CFL on TSN panelist Jim Barker. He's right after Moose here in segment 2. The guy that's become our football analyst, Matt DeBuck from the Cardinal Gibbons High School. 3-time state Florida champions. He wants to talk CFL football. And Moose, he says to me all the... not all, but a lot of the football people have turned on him. They're texting him saying, "You're media now, DeBuck. You're media now. Pick a side." And he's very clearly chosen the media because you can sleep at night. No problem sleeping when you're in the media. And Ryan Ballantine's going to be with us in hour 2. Podcaster, blogger from 3downnation.com. He covers the Calgary Stampeders. Chief Punk, as I like to call him, Ryan Ballantine, here in Calgary of the Stampeders media. And James Jungquist will be with us later on in hour 2. He is a now retired harness racing driver, now an announcer. We got racing this weekend, racing every weekend here at Century Downs. He's going to join us to talk about that. So take a breath, Rod. What's up with you, Moose, before we jump into everything else?
It's a great morning, another great morning. I don't know if you saw on the socials, had a chance to watch the game last night with Craig Smith, our director of scouting.
Yes.
At his wonderful home with him and Kathy. That was just a great night, wonderful treat, and everything is rock solid today.
Well, then we'll quit Mickey Mouse and we'll jump right into it. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan?
How about that?
Our director of scouting, Craig Smith, is the guy that his living room looks like NASA. He's got 18 screens up, every football game imaginable. So, what am I talking about? You watch football all night with a 2-time Grey Cup champion and a football scout. So I will tell you that our text line is open right now for EMJ Marketing. EMJ Marketing text line 902-518-3033. If anything tickles your fancy as we move along, you have questions, comments for any of our guests, we would be more than happy to pass them along. EMJ Marketing, providing the right keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com today. We got NFL to get to, Blue Jays, NBA Canada had an announcement, and just a whole lot more. But number one, we will open with the Week 9 in the CFL. The lid lifter last night was Brady Oliveira and Dalton Schoen. Each had 2 touchdowns. Kenny Lawler and Nick Dembski added their own, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers routed the BC Lions 50-14. It was viewed as payback for BC's win in Winnipeg in June, 30-6. BC's top-ranked defense had only allowed 5 touchdowns through their first 7 games before last night, and they blew it open. So I was saving this joke because these guys were talking about it here. Kevin, the medium's here. Serena's here. Karen's here from Century Downs. We were going back and forth between Jaws 3 and then Jaws on the AMC channel and the CFL game. There was a mauling in both shows. Am I the only one that finds that funny?
How about that?
Nobody's laughing. The Lions got mauled, and so did the people on the beach at Martha's Vineyard. So it was ugly, man. My point is, it was 14-0 by the time I turned on the game. Winnipeg came out mauling the BC Lions. It was ugly.
Yeah, they didn't wait to methodically put the game plan. They went right for the throat right away. And Zach Collaros was accurate with the deep ball. I think the BC secondary was uncomfortable all night. Kenny Lawler and those receivers, you talked about Dembski and Schoen, but Lawler had a hell of a game. It was payback. It was a statement game from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, let's dig into it a little more. As a matter of fact, I got to, I'll tell you a little bit about Key Auto Group in a moment, but that's our poll question today. Our poll question is, who is the best team in the Canadian Football League? Because if you go and look around the power rankings, it's been BC for a long time, and then Winnipeg they wailed the hell out of them, 50-14 last night. And then you got the Toronto Argonauts, which we're getting to. They're here in Calgary tonight. Friday Night Football in Week 9, and they're off to their best start since 1935. So that's the poll question today. Who is the best team in the Canadian Football League? Key Auto Group, driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. I'm just looking up what they're saying on Twitter right now. And Clark, I know we just posted it not that long ago, so we might not have a big sample size. 71% of respondents are saying the Toronto Argonauts are the best team in the CFL. Here in Week 9, 24% saying the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So, I don't know. Zach Collaros looked on point last night, and I understand BC was playing their backup, Dane Evans. I don't know. Is BC a different team with Vernon Adams? Quarterback. Nobody was making excuses for BC last night coming out of the game. They were just bad because their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed.
They couldn't. And that, you're right. They shouldn't be that much of a drop. There shouldn't be that much of a drop off. I think there are a different team with Vernon Adams. He's a different quarterback. But Dane Evans is one of the most capable backups in the Canadian Football League. This team should have been able to pick up where they left off. I think this was a game that leaves a lot of questions for BC. But they're going to get their starter back, I guess, next week, Vernon Adams. So that's at least the bright side this morning for Kevin and the other BC Lions fans.
John Kirby in Edmonton writes in on the EMJ Marketing text line, and he says, hey, Rod, why do you say Quebec City is going to get a CFL team before Halifax? Lots of people aren't loving that comment you made. Signed, John in Edmonton. Because I heard it from a couple of guys. That Quebec City is going to get a CFL team before Halifax. That's all I can say. And as I've said many times, angering people is a gift of mine. I don't know. I was born with it. I haven't tried to hone it. It's just a natural thing. That's what I heard. And I said it on Ottawa radio yesterday afternoon, and apparently some people got their knickers in a knot. Brian in Beausejour, Manitoba writes that he says, Rod, where's Kevin the Medium taking you for lunch today? Should be somewhere expensive. And on the menu, Kevin should be ordering crow. LOL. How about that? That got you laughing.
How about that?
He said, nice solid win by the Bombers. That's from Brian in Beausejour, Manitoba. We spent enough time on that game because tonight here in Calgary, McMahon Stadium, looks like a beautiful night for football. You know, there's a debate here that this could be Canada's game of the week. 6-0 Toronto Argonauts against the 2-5 Calgary Stampeders. I read the game notes. And who's screaming? Is somebody screaming in your house?
I think there's some action happening across the way.
Okay.
We'll try and keep the volume down.
Okay. Untie those kids, Moose. 6-0 Argos, 2-5 Stampeders. Jake Mayer, how about this one? Calgary's quarterback is leading the CFL in passing. Not bad, but they're 2-5. He's 9-10 all-time as a starter. I'm no genius, but I know that's not great. That's not Bo Levi numbers. He's been sacked the least of any quarterback in the CFL. It's literally, Darren, like the Stampeders have given Jake Mayer the keys to the Ferrari, and they said, "Go drive it, kid," and he's running into the freaking walls and into the ditch. Jake, that's what I'm seeing, because this is a Calgary machine, right? And he ain't performing it. What are you laughing at?
When you say that, Rod, my mind goes to the scene in Wolf of Wall Street when Leonardo DiCaprio's scraping himself on the pavement to get to his Ferrari, and then he completely just hits every car on the way home. So that's where my mind went when you said that. Yeah.
But do you know what I'm saying? This guy should be better. I don't care that he's leading the league in passing. He's thrown some very untimely interceptions. This is a massive game tonight at McMahon Stadium. And courtesy Century Downs, we had a very successful contest this week with our keyword, which were Flutie and Huff. These guys wrote in and had the correct answers. You got to follow Century Downs on Instagram. And we'll do it again throughout the month of August. But GM Cooley, at GM Cooley, and at Mathematician won tickets to the game tonight at McMahon Stadium. So that's my read on the game. Jake Mayer needs to be a lot better. I don't care that they're playing the 6-0 Toronto Argonauts. This is our house. They got a flipping sign in McMahon that says, "This is our house," and they haven't won there yet this year. So it's time they start showing it, and that includes tonight at McMahon.
Yeah, it does. And the Jake Mayer thing is interesting because we sit back here, from 30,000 feet and say, he's a great quarterback. He's, pretty calm. He delivers the ball. He puts up yards. He seems like the logical successor to Bo Levi. But then when you peel back the curtain and you talk about the numbers, the record, and, being sacked the least amount of times and not a lot of excuses for why they're not winning games. At the end of the day, as a quarterback, you need to put up wins. Numbers are important, but you need to put up wins. And right now, the Calgary Stampeders just aren't doing that.
A lot of intrigue for the game tonight. And by the way, I don't know whether to believe the forecast or not. I've been in Calgary enough to know that it's tricky. 60% chance of rain tonight for the game at McMahon. But I know that can. What do they say in Calgary? If you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes and it'll change. So there's a couple of CFL notes there. We'll get into more with Jim Barker next segment. Our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com and a retailer near you. Point 3, the New York Jets kicked off the Aaron Rodgers era with a loss in the Hall of Fame game last night to the Cleveland Browns, 21-16. It was a battle of the backups, as you know, as both teams rested their starters. Browns rookie quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson rallied Cleveland, which trailed 16-7 at halftime. I did see the nice deep pass, like a 70-yard pass Zach Wilson connected on, the number 2 for the Jets. You guys watched that game, and if so, what was my takeaway was how clean the Jets looked in the all-white jerseys and pants. That's about it. I'm like, it would be a shame for these to get dirty. That was my take. Other than that, wasn't much of a game.
Yeah, no, it wasn't much of a game. That Zach Wilson pass, I caught the highlights and made my notifications. You know, we watched a little bit of that out of one corner of our eye. We did see Chris Streveler come into the game. I think he went 1 for 6 in the game, had a 7-yard rush. Just kind of a ho-hum, lackluster kind of preseason game, and that's what we expected, right? I said yesterday it wouldn't really have my attention, and coming out of it, it didn't do anything to earn my attention again next year.
The Toronto Blue Jays, .4, look to find some success against an American League East foe when they visit the Boston Red Sox tonight. Toronto lost 3 of 4 to the Orioles this week, including a 6-1 loss Thursday. Jays 8-23 in their own division. Alek Manoah is scheduled to start for the Jays tonight as they visit Boston, and here's hoping that they can gain some ground, win some games in the East. Now we're looking wild card coming out of this week against Baltimore. They lost 3 of 4, and that wasn't a good measuring stick. .5, Vancouver and Montreal will be hosting NBA preseason games in the 9th NBA Canada Series. The league announced Thursday. Raptors will take on the Sacramento Kings in Vancouver, October 8th. Meanwhile, all-star guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of Hamilton and Montreal native Lou Dort lead the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Detroit Pistons at Bell Center in Montreal, October 12th. And bad news here, Moose, for the people of Alberta, I think. Some will agree, some won't. .6, Alberta's government pulled the plug on a possible 2030 Commonwealth Games bid on Thursday, citing financial risk. The province said the games were estimated to cost $2.68 billion. Alberta's 2030 bid committee called the move an unexpected decision, as the group had yet to take its pitch even to the public. But that really sucks, because there's a reason there's a stadium in Edmonton called Commonwealth Stadium. It got built because of the Commonwealth Games of the 1970s. And I think people in Calgary were kind of hoping, those that knew this was going to be a bid, maybe we'll get a football stadium out of it. And it ain't happening now. So those are the quick 6 show points. We do still have a couple minutes left here. So what's your weekend thing? CFL, NFL, something strange and interesting we haven't even thought of yet?
Yeah, I wish I had something to throw at you. Like, I will say, if you're giving me the plug, the opportunity, the tennis is starting right away in Toronto and Montreal. The what do they call it? The National Bank Open, the national tournament. So that's pretty exciting. But on the Commonwealth thing, you know, I hate that's kind of a scary movement right now. There's a strong public pressure to not host these events, the Commonwealth Games, even the Olympics not coming back to Calgary, or the conversations around Vancouver. These are things that just because they don't impact you directly doesn't mean you don't benefit from it. I heard these things when, I was in Regina around the new stadium. People said, I don't want the stadium. They voted down. I don't want my tax dollars to go to the stadium because it doesn't affect me. I just own a restaurant. I don't go to games. Well, because of that stadium, your restaurant's full, 9 times a year. Because of that stadium, your hotel's full. Just because it doesn't impact you because you don't go to the games or you don't go to the Olympics doesn't mean that you're not benefiting. And I think these things are really amazing for communities. They're lasting. And we have to think long-term, not just what's right in front of our face.
I like you saying that. That's a very forward-thinking, capitalist perspective of yours, Moose. You're learning. You're coming along.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim Barker is coming in next. I will say there's a lot of football questions. We'll be talking about Week 9 in the CFL. Interesting thing, you and I got to get to Vegas at some point. Maybe Super Bowl.
Yes,
but
please. Somebody
was saying how the Golden Knights are the most popular pro sports franchise in Las Vegas. John Ohm, the reason I bring this up is John Ohm writes in, and he says, Vegas will have all the sports teams soon. From nothing a few years ago to it all. We can maybe talk to Jim Barker about that, but why wouldn't Vegas be the Golden Knights be the most popular team in town? The Raiders have been junk ever since they showed up from Oakland. Hello, coach. And the Golden Knights are champions. Yeah, people like to cheer on a winner. Okay, I see what you did there. We got a break and come back with Jim Barker, Matt DeBuck, 2 segments from now. It's the RP Show live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino on the Game Plus Television Network, WQ, EE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino Racing tonight and Saturday, and we've got James Jungquist, former driver, now announcer, coming up later on in hour two. And I'll tell you what, we chat CFL with Jim Barker every Friday, maybe some other leagues too as we move into true football season here. We got him from the CFL on TSN panel. By the way, Coach, if I may be so bold and call you Coach, when I mentioned yesterday your name, here in the casino, everybody's like, Jim Barker. I said, oh, yeah, he'll be on Friday. So you had some good times in Calgary, Coach, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. I had, really 7 great years. Started as the coach with Michael Federick and went in thinking I was going to be able to, replace Wally Buono with a guy who's owned a team so his kid could play quarterback. And it was a rough year, but I hung around Calgary for some personal reasons. And the next year, John Ferzani and Ted Hellard came to me, asked me if I could be a GM. And I said, absolutely, I can do that. So I basically did nothing but was a GM for 5 years when Huff got here, he wanted to be GM, so I moved to senior vice president. But I had spent the first 3 years with Tom, and then Huff came, and then I left in 2010 to go to Toronto. So yeah, I have many friends in Calgary, and it's one of my favorite places in Canada.
Oh, it's awesome. Awesome. And it's an underrated CFL city. And I will talk about the Argo Stamps tonight in a second. But last night, the mauling in Winnipeg, the Blue Bomber beatdown, 50-14 over the Lions. I saw your assessment post-game on the panel. This was a statement. Your thoughts, if you can break it down, what they did to BC last night.
Yeah, there's no doubt. This was, you have to remember, though, and put it in perspective, that BC lost their backup quarterback, and really in the first half when Big Hill made that hit. And BC's coming off of a short week, and they had a week to prepare and had played the team they played. That's a huge advantage. So good on Winnipeg for coming out and answering the call, but they beat them in every way you can beat a team. And Paul LaPolice and I did a thing called the Coordinator Corner, and I talked a lot about, in watching the film of the first game, whenever they lined up with a tight end or a tight slots and things like that, they just, BC gave big problems. So my assignment was, how would you attack them? Well, 6 of their 7 touchdowns were scored with a tight end on the field. So I think that Winnipeg has found something that teams are going to start to exploit on this BC defense. Ryan Phillips has done a great job with them. But again, over time, things start to catch up, and he's going to have to make some adjustments to get them back on track. So I thought it was a crucial game for Winnipeg, because if they lose the season series to them, that puts them into, I thought, drop them into the next class. And there's definitely, I see 3 classes right now, the top 3, the middle 3 or 4 you could call, and then Edmonton and Calgary. Calgary doesn't win tonight, they could easily slip into that Edmonton group. And it's a big game for Calgary, and I know that they will be ready to play. They're like that dog in the corner, and you come in as Toronto, and it's such a, it's like another game, even though all these coaches came from Calgary. But the bottom line comes down, and we talked about it last night. It comes down to Calgary's got to block that defensive front of Toronto, and I just don't know if they can do it. I don't know whether their defensive front can hold up. Cam Judge is a game-time decision. So this whole weekend has got really fascinating games. I mean, tomorrow we have Hamilton-Montreal in a huge game in the East. 2 teams that one of them's is gonna assume the number 2 position. And then Sunday, the Saskatchewan game. This is a must-win for Saskatchewan. As much as there's a must-win, you play Ottawa at home, that's a huge win, game for them. If they were to lose to Ottawa at home, I think that drops them a level. So, again, I think this is a huge one, because they got beat pretty bad by Toronto.
I love that I could just go for a sandwich. I'm like, hey, coach, and away you go. I love it. You just segued all the games. I love it, one into the next. It's awesome. However,
I'm so excited.
You have we all are, dude. I am too. I love watching it. But you've upset a Stamps fan, Janelle. She says, another class, excuse me. 2-5, sis. Could be 2-6 after tonight. They don't like that here. They're not used to it, Jim.
What class excuse? I don't understand what a class excuse is.
Well, you said, I think you said 3 different classes.
Oh,
top class, middle class.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
they think they're in the top class.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
they have Edmonton on Labor Day. Somebody has to win that. So Again, I thought Calgary's been bit by injuries, and it's an excuse. But the bottom line is they're playing Bryce Bell at left tackle, and he hasn't done that. He's been a sixth man his whole career. Now he's playing left tackle, and tonight he's blocking Flo Rimolade, who has seen him because he was in Calgary last year, and that's a tall order. And then when you put Oakman and Hendricks and Brinkman inside, and you bring Brendan Barlow off the other edge. It's a tall order for Calgary for their offensive line to protect Jake Mayer. And Jake Mayer's really in his first year, just like Chad Kelly. They're very much in the same boat. So, again, I just look at how teams have played to this point, and Calgary has just turned the ball over too much and has not played solid enough to be considered in the upper tier of teams in the league.
It's people don't like to hear the truth, Jim. I think you've realized that. Clay and Brandon says, I love Jim Barker on TSN and the RP show. So do we, Clay, but thank you for pointing that out. We all do. John in Winnipeg, John Ohm, says it's a statement game for Mason Fine on Sunday. We need to talk about that for the Rider fans tuned in, how big this is. Have you seen him getting better, Coach? What did you see coming out of TD Atlantic? And Craig Dickinson, there was no second guessing. He's starting week 9 against Ottawa.
Yeah, and he should. I mean, they put 2 years. They invested 2 years into this guy. And you don't develop quarterbacks by having him come in the league like what Dustin Crum has done. And he's playing 4 weeks later, and he's learning that way. But that's not how you develop. They've developed this guy, and it's time for him to show whether he's good enough to take a team to a Grey Cup. You don't, again, having a backup quarterback that isn't good enough to take your team to the Grey Cup is a waste. So they need to allow him to play. He's played against Toronto. He wasn't horrible. I mean, again, the offensive line doesn't help him. And against that defensive front, he was taking some huge shots, but made some courageous throws and did some things that I don't see him making the huge mistakes. But I also don't see him making the people around him better. And that's what a quarterback has to do. I see Chad Kelly, again, he's just learning. He's a brand new quarterback, but I see him making guys around him better. I think that the offensive line, I think they've given up like 5 sacks all year. And while they're good, some of that is just him making him better. And I think that's what Mason Fine needs to do. I was so excited last week to watch him against Toronto and was a little disappointed that didn't come out a little bit better. But again, for them to just jump to Dolegala, I see Dolegala, just as I don't know. He's a big, strong. He's a little like Taylor Cornelius. He's tall, 6'6" guy. Who's the last 6'6" quarterback you've seen that was successful in the CFL, Rod?
Never. Sorry, never.
It's just
not in my time.
I don't know why. I don't know. I haven't seen one over 6'4" that's been real successful. So, again, I see him as that guy who's strong-armed, but he's inaccurate. And that's just how I think Mason Fine has a chance.
We got 4 minutes, and this is burning on me. I need your take as an offensive guy on the switch in Edmonton. Stephen McAdoo out, Jarius Jackson in. And a quarterback change, too. How do you feel that's going to play out?
Well, I mean, it can't play out. They had to do something. Steve McAdoo had a run at it, and how is it going to play out? I don't think there'll be a huge difference. Jarius, it says he's been a coordinator. When he was with us in Toronto, he was never a coordinator. So I don't know that he's done that, but he'll be a play caller, which will, you'll see how he does. He's been a long-time quarterback. McAdoo, they're actually moving him all the way over to defense so that there's no influence from McAdoo on the offensive guys. I think it's a really difficult situation that the board put them in by not having enough options, and with their whole situation with past staffs and things like that. So they had to do something. The new quarterback, again, is that going to be the answer? obviously now they've made a decision on Taylor Cornelius, yet they gave him a contract last year that pays him $100,000 next year, regardless of what happens. So, so he'll get paid next year, but will he be there? It's hard to tell. So, again, is it going to be Trey Ford? Is he going to be put in a situation? I believe their number one problem, and I've said it from the beginning, was their offensive line. I don't think they addressed it in the offseason. I think they're poor up front. Cordy was a good tackle in Ottawa. He's an okay center. Cardila's just small and seems to get overhauled, and Foucault has struggled inside, and Garnett has been, he's been hurt a lot. And so I don't know. I'm not sold on that offensive line. And when you don't have a good offensive line, it's so difficult to evaluate a quarterback. So I don't know. Hopefully they're using their week wisely and trying to come up with some way to not turn the ball over, allow their defense to play, work on their special teams, because it's going to take whichever quarterback plays time. And, good luck for Jarius.
Well, it's quite absolutely pray for Jarius. But it's just interesting you brought up the board, because I've been saying the same thing for weeks, and I just think fans give the community-owned team boards too free of a pass. They don't understand, A, it all kind of starts there, for one. I don't think they'll ever understand that. And two, on the offensive line, it all starts there as well. I don't know what Joe Pascucci's watching.
Matt Dubuc.
Yeah, Dubuc, Coach Dubuc's next. Yeah, next. Yeah, you're going to have to... I'll ask him about it. He's, oh my gosh, Coach. He's three-time state Florida high school champion coach, and he's on now as an analyst with you every Friday. Well, yeah, once a week anyways. And now the football guys are on his ass saying, "You're media now, Coach. You're not a football guy anymore." Are you getting that? Are you getting that?
No, not at all. I'm excited to be able to give a different perspective. I just think that my perspective is just different. I mean, Milt he's brilliant. Matt Dunnigan, fantastic. David, those guys are all good. Lapo. But my perspective's different, because I've been a GM and I've been a head coach. I've been an assistant coach, so I've seen the whole thing, from every angle. So I love the fans of the CFL. So anytime I can give them something that maybe is a little bit different, that's exciting for me. It really is.
It's been missing on the panel since Bob Obelovich and probably E.T. All right, Jim, we got to run. We're late for a break. Keep it up, man. We'll be watching. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Rod.
The aforementioned Coach Dubuc joins us from Fort Lauderdale when we return. It is a Football Friday live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. Ryan Ballantine coming up here at Century Downs next hour, along with James Junquist from the Harness Racing Circuit. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
The RP Show continues live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino, and it is a Football Friday. We got a sports update coming up and audience takeover, but we can't keep this guy waiting. I'm dying to get him on. Coach Matt DeBuck, Cardinal Gibbons High School, the most famous and, dare I say, the most successful high school football coach in the state of Florida. Don't argue with me, Matt, because it's what it is. How did it feel to have Coach Barker say, DeBuck, I coached DeBuck? You got to tell us about that.
The legendary Jim Barker, what a pleasure it was playing for him, and we've had a great relationship for years, and we keep in touch. So, and then I watched the harness commercial. My dad had a bunch of harness horses at Blue Bonnets in Montreal. So, a little bit of nostalgia here today on the show, Rod.
Yeah, well, hey, we all know you, Matt. They haven't forgot about you in your native country. We can piggyback on what Coach Barker said, but I'm going to put the poll question to you because you watch all the games. And by the way, he is the head coach at Cardinal Gibbons High School, 5A state champions 3 times over. Who's the best team in the CFL right now, given Winnipeg's beat down of the BC Lions last night, 50-14?
That's why you play the games, and it's probably last week, Winnipeg wasn't there, and then what a performance last night. BC was really good, and then they just, fall apart like they did last night. So I would probably put Winnipeg back in the top spot, but it's probably a neck and neck with Toronto. It'll be interesting to see when Chad Kelly's really put to the test consistently. And I think after the defensive plays last night for Winnipeg, those long ends that they have, and try to change his platform when he's throwing it, we'll see how he does. But it's 1-2 either way. I don't think anybody's going to argue that.
But I love, hey, you just said that and people's eyebrows went here in the casino. Quite a few. Well, there's a Lions fan, a Stamps fan, an Edmonton fan. So we know what's nice is there's a debate, Matt. There's a debate. It's not slam dunk. That's kind of what you'd want, I think, as a league.
Again, Winnipeg, when I played there, we didn't have that new stadium they have, but they really have a renaissance in football there now. And Mike O'Shea, I was fortunate enough to play with Mike in Toronto, and I played with Zach Thomas at Texas Tech, arguably 2 of the best linebackers that I've ever seen play the game. And then, Zach's going into the Hall of Fame, and Mike is going to be a Hall of Fame coach. I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame player yet, but probably will be. He was one of the best special teams player, along with Wade Miller back in the day. So, it's good that people are talking about it. And I think, once again, the league, if it can somehow get out of its own way and market it, just find a little bit better way to market it with, the social media aspect of it. And I think, they're scratching the surface because the product's good. There's good coaches, good players.
The age-old discussion, of course. But, hey, you mentioned you're an Argo. I think you got a soft spot for the Argos. We should talk about them. Coming into Calgary here tonight, it's their best start since 1935. And here's the thing, you played with Flutie. They won a Grey Cup with Dunnigan. They got a rookie starter there in Chad Kelly. So is this smoke and mirrors, or are they that good? And are they just getting better?
I think the head coach is the difference maker. I think he's made Chad Kelly not a rookie. Chad Kelly's been around. He's been in NFL camps. He's not a rookie quarterback. Not like some of these other guys that are coming into the league right now, fresh out of college. Chad Kelly is seasoned. He's had those downs, and he's been able to lock in and go with Dinwiddie. And Dinwiddie's, I think, probably ahead of the game when it comes to calling plays and the offense he runs. So I don't consider Chad Kelly a rookie. And I look at, like I said before, the quarterback play around the league has just been, up and down all year. But you still have guys like Caleros that are, people might have written him off 2 weeks ago because he struggled a little bit. And last night he was a magician out there. He was a surgeon. So, I think when you play so many games and you have to play the same team so much, it's like kissing your sister at times when you got to go in there and play these games. And, it might not necessarily – it's hard to get up. It's hard for our kids to get up. And, when we play local teams, now we're going to play in St. Petersburg. We're going to play a team from Clearwater, Florida. We're playing a team from North Carolina. It's just coaching. You have to find a way to motivate your team each week. And I think Mike O'Shea has done a great job over the years that he's been a coach. But you're still fighting that lull at times. And I think, Dave Dickinson's been in the same place, and now he's got a new group, and he's got to find a way to motivate those guys. But I think it could be an upset tonight. I think Calgary could get it. I mean, if you were to look at it, I would not be surprised if Calgary won tonight. Would not be at all.
I got to go back and look at what the point spread is there from our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal. They've got the Argos favored by 8.5. And I know you're not a betting guy, but I always like to see what the line is just to see what people are thinking. We got to speed it up here. We got about 3 to 4 minutes. I just got to ask you, well, number one, the OC change in Edmonton. Stephen McAdoo out and Jarius Jackson in. And a quarterback change too. What results do you think that'll bring?
I think Coach Barker hit the nail on the head. The offensive line's not very good. I don't know if anybody's going to call the plays is going to make a major difference. Jarius Jackson's going to call and run the same concepts that McAdoo was running. So whether they can get a boost by Trey Ford, I don't know. He can run around a little bit more. He might be able to extend things a little bit longer, but I don't see a mass improvement there. Football's football. McAdoo's been successful. The pieces around what McAdoo is trying to do, I think, hurt him. And that's no indictment on Chris Jones. Sometimes players don't perform to the level of expectations that we're hoping for.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, this is a very, very smart man you have on. Don't pump his head. We all know that about Coach DeBuck. We don't need to tell him. They want to know about Cardinals Gibbons Chiefs, though. Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs. Tell us about them. You guys are rolling now. You got your team get-togethers. They want to follow your team, Coach, so what do they need to know about them?
We started up this week. This is our first week of practice. We just wrapped up this morning, and we play Cardinal Gibbons High School from North Carolina week 1 on August 25th. And our quarterback's committed to North Carolina. We have a tight end committed to Georgia. My younger son, Trent, is a sophomore, going to be a junior receiver. And I have another son, actually, that plays at University of South Florida. So football is kind of life for us down here. I've been doing football since I was 13 years old, never missed a season, whether coaching or playing. So I love it. I hope to one day be up there in that league and maybe bring my my talents up there, not as a player anymore, but maybe as a coach one day when I can get my kids to college and go back to the CFL because I love it so much.
Well, I enjoy our chats. I can't wait to get back and attend the Chiefs games. But for everybody, give them a follow on Twitter. They're at Football Gibbons on Twitter. Just search them on Instagram. They do a great job of their social media. Coach, enjoy the games. We'll be seeing you soon, but we'll chat with you next week.
Hey, great seeing you guys. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend, and go Chiefs.
Thanks, Coach. From Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at one point last year, the 13th ranked team in all of America. High school football, there's something. We'll be back with a sports update and audience takeover. Chief Punk of the Stampeders Media, Ryan Ballantine, here for hour 2. And James Junquist will be with us as well from the harness racing scene. We're live from Century Downs, Racetrack and Casino on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, and WQEE Radio, The Key.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, we got a lot to cover in this segment and not a lot of time. The EMJ marketing text line is humming. Brian's watching in Hudson Bay, the Moose capital. And he says, I love Jim Barker. Could you ask him if he's still interested in being a GM? We'll have to ask him next week because he's gone. I just saw it now, but I don't think Barks, I shouldn't speak for him, but I think he's enjoying the CFL on TSN panel thing, and I would be surprised if he wants to get back in the GM game. You can always write us 902-518-3033. The text line is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Providing the right keynote speaker for your event, contact Joe at emjmarketing.com today. Sports update, Toronto pitcher Alek Manoah gets the start today as the Blue Jays begin a 3-game series in Boston. James Paxton, who hails from Ladner, British Columbia, will start on the mound for the Red Sox. The Jays hold the third and final wild card spot in the American League with the Red Sox 2 games behind. Just so you know, Ryan Ballantine, I didn't write this. Canadian Press did. The struggling Calgary Stampeders host the Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts in tonight's Canadian Football League matchup. The Stamps have lost 2 straight and sit 4th in the Western Division at 2-5, while the Argos are off to a perfect 6-0 start. A case could be made, in my opinion, that this is Canada's game of the week, 7 p.m. tonight at McMahon Stadium. The knockout round begins Saturday at the Women's World Cup with 2 intriguing matchups. Switzerland will face off against 6-seeded Spain, while number 11 Japan will face number 12 Norway in Wellington. The Japanese have yet to concede a goal in this World Cup. I bet you didn't know that. And do we care now that Canada is out? That's a no from me, dog. The Alberta government has pulled the plug on a possible 2030 Commonwealth Games bid involving Calgary and Edmonton. The province cited financial risk and an estimated price tag of $2.68 billion. The decision comes after Hamilton's pursuit of the 2030 Games and a Victoria Volunteer Group's interest in the 2026 event also expired this year because of Ontario and BC government disinterest. This sports update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Sounds like a portion of downtown Calgary. I'm sorry. Councilor Ryan, I got to get him in now. Downtown anywhere, let's be honest, right? Downtown anywhere. We got to get this cleaned up. After years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle Brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers through heroic acts. Their new friend, April O'Neil, helps them take on a mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them. In theaters now, Landmark Cinemas, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Clark, did we name a winner for the Landmark Cinemas contest for this week? Because if not, I'm anointing them right now. Okay, Jim Wagner in Balgony, Sask. You're this week's winner. We'll be getting in touch with you. Landmark Cinemas gift certificates for movie passes plus concession gift certificates, courtesy our friends at Landmark Cinemas. What do we got here? Oh, Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, LOL, sick burn, Rod. Hey, you seen downtown Winnipeg lately? Come on, it's a downtown thing.
Beautiful.
He goes on to say, Winnipeg has no such downtown issues, of course, with a smiling emoji. John writes in and says, question, why is Ryderville notorious for chasing away damn good quarterbacks from the Rough Riders, i.e. Caleros and others? I don't know. You'd have to ask Cody Fajardo. Ask him and get back to me. And Ken Austin, too, for that matter. It's a long list. Ryan Ballantine and James Junquist coming up after this brief pause on Game Plus and the Key.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Woo, right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show, Hour 2, coming in hot from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. They're yelling at us already here. Either somebody won or we're being too loud. That's a problem Ryan Ballantine gets regularly. Our Hour 2 guest down here live at Century. You're a loud guy, Ryan. How are you?
But I'm never in trouble for winning.
Yeah.
I'm never
in
getting
a casino or otherwise. Yeah, you're a big poker player, hey?
I enjoy throwing cards. Yes.
Okay, is that's the insider's turn?
I would say I'm better than average, but I'm definitely not good.
Well, I define good, like breaking even.
Well, so I know several people that play professionally. So for me, my standard is going to be a lot higher than most.
Right.
I can do well in your average casino, but I'm certainly not quitting my job to do it for a living.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. I appreciate you coming down on a Football Friday here to Century Downs to chat ball with us. You've been sitting here for a while. We've had a lot of fun today. Jim Barker in Hour 1, along with Coach Matt Demuck, my good friend from Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale. And to be honest with you, we haven't put it to bed. I'll ask you about last night's Week 9 opener. Winnipeg mauling BC 50-14 at IG Field. Sorry, Kevin, don't blame me. It's your team. Get mad at them. Tonight here, it's the Calgary Stampeders home to the Argos, and what I'm sure you would agree, Canada's game of the week for fans of those two fan bases at least.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Anytime the Stamps are involved, it's the game of the week as far as I'm concerned.
Saturday, Montreal goes into Hamilton, and then Sunday the week closes with what a lot of people think is the game of the week. two capital cities, Ottawa at Saskatchewan. And NFL Hall of Fame game went last night. Browns 21, Jets 16. Just for spits and giggles, did you follow it at all?
Did Strevy get in?
Apparently he did.
Okay.
Apparently he did.
I mean, I was watching most of that blowout last night, but once it got to like 37-4, I think that's when I wandered downstairs to see what the wife was up to.
Right.
But the Hall of Fame game, I couldn't be less interested in the first preseason game of the NFL schedule. As little as the CFL preseason matters, the NFL preseason matters even less.
Well, and the thing, we had Matthew Barnaby on yesterday, and I always wondered why he was a New York Jets fan and staunch. And he said since he was 12 years of age, growing up in Ottawa, he cheered for the Jets. He goes, I don't watch the preseason. And I'm like, well, if you're a fan of the Jets and you're not watching, why the hell would I watch?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to go down this road, but I will. Preseason games in both leagues, NFL and CFL, have really lost any intrigue or interest to buy tickets to or go. And that can't be good for the leagues.
Well, yeah, I think most of these teams in both leagues now, they know what their starters are going to do. They know what their starters are going to, they know who most of their starters are going into a season. So at that point, you've got, 4 or 5 guys battling for jobs, and everybody else is there to be cut. What's the point of having all of these games if that's all you're going to do? And the NFL's got 4 of them, too. It's just really a way to bleed money out of fans and get them to buy tickets for games that don't actually matter with players that aren't going to play.
Yeah, well, okay. So I guess let's start with our poll question, just for you.
Sure.
Because your eyebrows raised. You were one of the ones here.
Yes.
When I said, who's the best team in the CFL? And Coach DeBuck just said, Winnipeg, right? And you were like, The poll is for Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed with your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. If not Winnipeg, then who?
Well, it's Toronto. It's very clearly Toronto. Even Winnipeg did that to BC, but go back 4 weeks and BC did that to Winnipeg. They've got a blowout each. You know, does that mean that one team is substantially better than the other? I don't think so. I mean, you want to put Winnipeg in what they did last night, and they were phenomenal last night. They victimized the BC defense in a way that hasn't been done yet this season. But Zach Collaros was able to hit receivers that were 1 to 2 steps behind the DB over and over and over again. Is that going to happen every week? Probably not. On the flip side, what Toronto's been doing, they've been doing to everybody. You know, they did it to BC already. Toronto is downing teams. So until Toronto gets knocked off their pedestal, I don't say how you don't have Toronto at number 1 in the rankings.
Yeah.
You want to flip one back and forth between Winnipeg and BC, I'm totally fine with that. I think Winnipeg has gotten old. I think they made a statement last night, but I don't know that it's a statement that they can continue to make through the rest of the season. So I'm still probably going to put BC number 2 in my power rankings this weekend, regardless of this result. But never mind the fact that they played Dane Evans and the third stringer who came in the second half. That's not.
Yeah.
They're not playing the Lions at their best.
As I said to Coach DeBuck last hour, it's nice to at least have a debate. There's not a real
it's great.
runaway per se. Ryan Ballantine with us, and I have always laughed, called him the chief punk. Which you still are, right? You're okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
Blogger, podcaster, he writes at 3downnation.com, and you might know him from Big Brother Canada, which you're here for 2 segments. I didn't tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, that's great.
So we have a lot of time to get into it.
Okay.
James in Morden, Manitoba says, everything around the CFL seems so positive this year. I like it. And it actually is. If you put the negative Nelsons aside, it's been great football and pretty positive stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I think it was 2 weeks ago, every game was fantastic. Everyone. And everyone was back and forth, and everyone had tons of, you've got good games every weekend. And you're starting to see now a couple blowouts here or there. But on the whole, Canadian football is exciting week in and week out. And that's even with the dearth of quarterbacks that we've got right now. Everybody's injured. Nobody's starters are playing for not nobody, because Collaros and Jake are still out there. But there's not a lot of starting quarterbacks with a lot of experience. And yet, we're still getting entertaining football games that come down to those last couple plays that matter.
Well, so I'm just going to sprinkle in comments from our Rod Squad, the regular crew. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I agree, Ryan. The NFL preseason is of no interest to me. Jen at the Four Seasons Sports Palace says, I can't wait for the NFL to start. And the interesting thing, I feel like she could say, I can't wait for the NFL regular season to start.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
But that's still a month away. Who is calling me from New York State? Strevler, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So, don't get your knickers in a knot, Rider fans. We'll get around to that Riders-Ottawa game on Sunday. But I got to ask you this. And you talk about Toronto being by far and away the #1 team. Winnipeg just gave us something to think about after what they did last night. But Toronto, you said it. The game notes have said, like, the Argos are just mauling teams. I don't know if you're reading the game notes or not, but they're like, they don't trail in games.
No.
They're kicking teams' butts from kickoff to final gun.
Yeah, it's been pretty one-sided on every time they've stepped on the field this year, and congratulations to them. They've taken all those Stampeder players and
Stampeders
really turned
West.
them, yeah, they've turned them
coaches
into and coaches and everybody. You know, and the Chad Kelly's the only guy in there that's making an impact that's not some sort of Stampede.
Okay, it's interesting you say. Let's get into this Calgary thing.
Yeah, sure.
Because for a few reasons. Like, as you know, I was the voice of the Rough Riders from 99 to 2018, and you called me last home game here, or 2 home games ago, Stephen A. Smith, before there was a Stephen A. Smith. And you know what? That was not planned. It was just the way it was. You and I didn't like each other at all.
No,
like, at all.
Look, I understood. I think once we met, and I was like, oh,
in Ottawa,
okay,
Grey Cup.
In Ottawa, Grey Cup. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like,
it was an act to a certain degree, but oh my God,
on the show.
It's taken me like 2 years for people in Calgary to actually say, you know what, he is legit. To get over that.
It takes time to, when you can't, it's not the WWE. You can't turn to face turn in 1 week.
A guy actually said that to me from a radio station here in town last week. He goes, when you spend your whole career as a heel, it's really hard to turn to what do they call him, a baby face?
Yeah,
a face in the regular. But it's not about me. But when I took over at Voice of the Riders in 99, you knew how bad we were. So we stole Roy Shivers, and we stole Danny Barrett, and we stole, frankly, Brett Childress and Alondra Johnson and Henry Burris and Travis Moore. And then the same things happened in Toronto.
Yep.
And they're having success with it. And you guys did dip. If you go back and look at those records, 03, 04, 05, right?
Well, the box years, yeah.
Yeah, is that a flattery, or are you guys ticked off by that?
I mean, look, it's nice that the Stampeders can continue to provide teams across the league with talent. It's fantastic.
And you mean that. You're not trolling.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not trolling. Look, Hamilton took Jameer Thurman and Bo Levi Mitchell last season. Bo was leaving. I'm sure they would have kept him as a backup. I'm sure they would have been happy to have him here as a backup. But he wanted to start, and so he went to Hamilton. You've got Falarino Malade, who the Stampeders waited years for him to get through his health troubles and stay healthy, and he finally has one good season and goes off to become the highest paid defensive player in the league. It's amazing to me that the Stampeders do spend their money seemingly on the offensive line and on the defensive line. They did not have enough money to retain Malade because their offensive line is fairly high priced, especially through the interior. And that's where they spend their money. They spend their money on receivers. They spend their money on the offensive line. The defensive side of the ball doesn't get much. But yeah, I feel good as a Stamps fan knowing that there are players around the league that can be successful that started here.
Now and historically, like Jeff the Stamps fan, he's like, don't stop there. Eddie Davis, Dwight Anderson, Marcus Crandall, Thomas
Doug
Graham.
Flutie to Toronto. I mean, I know he started in BC. He was good in BC, but he was better here.
So we can sit and pat ourselves on the back from a Calgary perspective, but you are 2-5 and potentially 2-6.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We talked about the Stampeders and the Jets so far, because I want to quote Joe Namath and I don't care how the team is struggling. I don't. I won't finish the quote there, Roddy, but I don't care that they're struggling. They could be 2-9 by Labor Day, and that's a legitimate thought, given that they played Toronto twice, Winnipeg, and BC before Labor Day. They could be 2-9 by Labor Day, and I still think this team makes the playoffs, because Saskatchewan's not going to be good enough. Hamilton just lost Bo for another 6 weeks, so they're not crossing over anymore. And you've got Edmonton, who are an absolute dumpster fire and are looking at an 0-18 season. So do you see? I don't see Regina winning many games. I don't see Edmonton winning any games. And I don't see Hamilton winning enough to cross over.
So
are
you're
you
saying
good
they'll
enough
come
to be
around?
the sixth best team? Yes, I think the Stampeders could make the playoffs at 7-9, 6-10, and still be a playoff team and still have a legitimate chance of coming out of the West if they're healthy at the right time.
You look at it far more analytically than I ever did. So you're not panicked.
No, I
what
mean,
you're saying.
Again, three of their losses have been within 4 points. And 2 of those included a pick six. One of them included a return touchdown.
So they're going to be
They're
there.
not mistakes that happen every week. It's just been unfortunate mistakes to
Pardon
this
me.
point.
People, we got to understand, this seems to be a football thing, because in hockey, which is my mother tongue, as you know, we don't fight about power rankings and stuff, but they get so mad in football, and I don't know why. But from Camper 27, watching in Winnipeg, says, respect by your guest is missing, Rod. In Winnipeg, we've been letting folks know the past 3 years. I'm the same. I'm confident.
Yeah, they're great. Winnipeg is a great football team.
I'm voting for them as best team, but that's me, and that's not to say I'm right or wrong. That's what's fun about this.
But they've played already, haven't they, this year? Didn't Winnipeg and Toronto play, and Toronto won?
Where?
Aren't they one of the losses that Winnipeg's got? Because Winnipeg's lost more than once, and Toronto hasn't lost. So even if they haven't played yet, Winnipeg's lost more than one game. And that one game they did lose, they lost to BC very badly, and they've lost other games. So you can't tell me that the team that's undefeated is worse than the team that's lost to a couple other teams.
In 2 minutes that we have here, we'll break and talk about the other games, but I don't know what the attendance will be here. But as you know, I've spent a lot of time in this town the last 2 years, and the attendance at Stamps games comes up more than anything else regarding the Stamps.
Yep.
So what do you think it'll be tonight?
I'd like to say, I mean, it's a Friday night. Toronto's not necessarily typically a great drawing team. I'd probably say 18-19, somewhere around there. That would be my guess off the hop. I mean, you'd hope to see more, but they've been averaging 21-22, but that's with a SAS game that brought in about 25, so I'm probably going to hover that about 28.
Cole.
18-19.
Yeah. Do you see that changing?
I'd love it to. I know a friend of mine was a former season ticket holder. He's been invited back to the stadium tonight with a pair of complimentary tickets and, a reception thing beforehand, trying to convince people to come back. The Stampeders are trying to make inroads, and I think their in-game stuff is great.
Yeah. Well, you can't beat the weather you've had for home games.
No, it's been gorgeous.
It's been awesome. Okay. Go ahead and have a sip of water, because we're going to take a break here right away. Cole is watching in North Dakota. He says Winnipeg's losses come to Ottawa and BC. Yeah, not Toronto. Nick is watching in Estevan, the Energy City. He says, the crumback. Ottawa beat Winnipeg. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Jennifer from the Four Seasons just chiming in, and she says, Canada versus USA semifinal in the Hlinka Cup on TSN4. Thank you, Jen, but I don't care. Do you? Is Bedard playing? No. Then that's a no from me, dog.
I'll watch the gold medal game.
You'll watch the gold medal. Yeah, okay, when Canada's in now. But thank you for pointing that out. We'll talk about the other CFL games, whatever else you'd like to get into. Big Brother Canada, maybe some lacrosse, NFL. And on the way, former driver, now announcer, James Junquist from the harness racing circuit, as we get rolling tonight here at Century Downs every Friday and Saturday night. Racing happening here. We'll be back in a moment, live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino on the Game Plus Television Network, channel 924 on TELUS in Alberta and BC, 427 on SaskTel Max, 1190 on Bell MTS Cable in Manitoba. Also WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
333 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino on a football Friday on Game Plus television. Although I think we're preempted in Canada on Game Plus. That's the sense that I'm getting. But we're live on WQEE Radio in Atlanta, and we're also on podcast and YouTube. We do Fridays, football on Fridays here, and CFL for now. Ryan Ballantine's with us, if we can bring him in here, from the Horsemen Podcast, Stampeders blogger at 3downnation.com, and he's into a lot of things. You're kind of a utility guy, hey? You broadcast lacrosse nationally on TSN?
Yeah, what's that, jack of all trades, master of none?
Yeah.
I've got my fingers in a lot of little broadcast pies. Nothing that's full-time, but I'm on the Roughnecks broadcast. I do some MMA stuff. Got some opportunities coming up there as well. So.
Okay, well, I just found out from B. Henderson, watching in Manitoba, says, damn, Live Golf on Game Plus. I want my RP TV. Listen, flood Game Plus with complaints on all their social media accounts. DM them all that you're ticked off that Live Golf has preempted the RP show. And let me know what they say. But don't tell them it was my idea. Because it is Football Friday, and NFL is firing up. We did brush on this a little earlier, but being a Calgary guy, are you born and raised here? I feel like you are.
I was born in Regina.
Come on!
Grace Hospital.
Did I know this?
I may have told
that would have meant you were wrapped in a green blanket.
Probably. But my parents escaped when I was 4, and I've not looked back. I've lived in Calgary ever since. So Regina born, Calgary raised.
I feel like you don't tell that story a lot to people.
It's always it helps me when I talk about Saskatchewan for people to be like, hey, I can't believe you talk about it. I was born there too.
Right.
It's the...
Okay, fair.
Yeah, it's the excuse I can give when talking about Sask.
That's a good one. So do you have a NFL specific rooting interest here?
Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Nice. I knew that's what we
Yeah,
were
when you grew up in Calgary, there were 2 options. You could either watch the Seahawks on Sunday or the Cowboys. Those are the only 2 teams that really got broadcast. Because the Cowboys were, at the time, America's team. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, everybody that was there. So they were always the game of the week. And the regional game was the Seahawks, and the Seahawks sucked. Every single week, the Seahawks would get beat up. So as a kid, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to watch the team that wins.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cheer for the team that wins. So as a 10-year-old picking a team, it was, 1990, right on top of as the Cowboys started their dynasty run, and I've never looked back.
Well, you just kind of, I was going to ask you how old you are, but you just outed yourself with that. I came here, and I'm sort of embarrassed, but also kind of proud of I told you that from the farm. And we didn't have cable television, so I came here to college to Mount Royal, and all my buddies were into the NFL. I hadn't watched that. I had 3 channels. One was French. What was I watching? Expos, CFL, NHL. Never NFL. And I'm like, oh, the Cowboys. That Aikman's cool. You know what I mean? There's an easy team to fall in love with at the time.
Yeah.
So what's your take now, if you don't mind me asking? On the Dallas Cowboys, America's team.
I mean, the Eagles are going to be tough to beat. I think the Cowboys could make the playoffs as a wild card team. I don't expect them to win the division. But let's be honest, are they going to get another Super Bowl before Jerry dies?
No.
Probably not.
He could die by the end of the year.
Well, I mean, he could die tomorrow. But, I mean, I don't think until they hire a real general manager, with respect to Jerry Jones and what he's built, and he's built the most beautiful football stadium I've ever set my eyes on, ever put my feet into, down there in Dallas. I love that stadium. I love what Jerry's done for the Cowboys to make them America's team. Jerry needs a GM who will make football decisions, and Jerry's not that guy.
He's never going to do it.
No.
He's never going to do it.
So as long as he's there, I don't expect a ring, but, I can expect a team that will be competitive every year, if not championship quality. And what more can you ask in a 32-team or in a 30-team league?
Yeah, not much. Can't ask for much more than that. And they do have 3 rings from his time before he really got his fingers into it, as you know. From Camper 27, just going back to last night's Week 9 lid lifter in the Canadian Football League, Winnipeg over BC 50-14. Camper says, I attended last night's game. Wasn't a payback game, but a game played by a level-headed team. BC schooled. I'm sure we don't see the ship celebration again as the disrespect showed in Edmonton a week ago. There's a lot of people saying BC was getting full of themselves.
Yeah, sure. But you beat Dom Davis. They weren't not beating Dane Evans, sure. But let's not pretend you guys beat Vernon Adams. You didn't. And even Vernon Adams is a step up from Dane Evans. And he's a better player.
Well, the thing is, listen, Winnipeg, you won. But you just said it wasn't a payback game, and then you're saying it was a payback game for their celebration at Edmonton. We were watching a game last weekend when the BC receivers jumped into the couches in the end zone.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
love that.
It was great.
We need more of that stuff. Although,
absolutely.
Did you notice that Jamarcus Hardwick, the offensive tackle for the Bombers, grabbed the cameraman's camera last night?
Yeah. Yeah,
think you'd be fine for that?
But who cares?
That's a prop.
More of that. I want that. I want touchdown celebrations. I want joy in the football game. I don't need. I'm so over the mentality of act like you've been there before. I don't care if you've been there before. I want you to be happy about every touchdown you score. I want you to celebrate. I want them running around the track in Commonwealth Stadium. I want them doing the exercise bike that they did the one time in Saskatchewan. I want that. I want to see that kind of celebration because it brings a joy to the game. This isn't a lunch bucket league anymore.
Some color.
No, this isn't guys who go to work Monday to Friday and then show up and play on Saturday. These are pro athletes. Let them exhibit some sort of personality and sell the game.
Well, two things. Did you know that Century Downs sponsors the touchdown horse at Stampeders games? Did you know that? You do now if you didn't.
I do now.
Yeah. Two, what if a visiting team came in and knocked the rider off the horse and jumped on it and rode it around? Because I would like to see that.
I mean, that's involving an animal. That's not okay. Like that animal's probably not okay with it, so that's not okay. You wanna pick up Ralph the dog and run him around the stadium, guy in a mascot costume, go for it.
Well,
you want to surround Ralph the dog and carry him off the field to your locker room after you win? Fine, no problem. Leave the horse alone.
Yeah. That's because it's your team. Because you can imagine at Taylor Field in Saskatchewan, we had that hot tub in the one end zone, and when the BC Lions came and jumped in it, oh my God, I wanted to go push their head underneath.
Oh, I want to see somebody steal the plane in Winnipeg. Go ahead, steal the plane in Winnipeg. That's hilarious to me. Just leave an actual horse alone.
This is fun. Wayne in BC says, I don't tend to stick with teams in the NHL and NFL, as opposed to the CFL, where I'm a Riders fan until I die. See, we covered that you're a Cowboys fan, as am I. College team?
There's too much. There's too much college football to care. I can't bring myself, like I've got CFL, NFL, NHL, NLL, MMA. Like, if I started adding college football to that, I'd probably quickly be divorced. And I'm more interested in staying married than I am in watching college football.
It's a lot to stay on top of.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
There's too many teams, too many conferences. They're moving back and forth. You've got a Pac-10 with 14 teams or something. It just doesn't make sense.
While I have you here, because I don't know if I'll have you again, our last day at Century Downs is August 25th, and that's a while from now, but I just don't know. You're a busy guy. I should get your take on the Flames, because when you talked about disrespect to mascots, the vision I got on my head was Harvey the Hound's tongue being yanked out by Craig McTavish. So what is your take on the Flames? Because that's a long conversation.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on there. Obviously, as much as Darryl Sutter won Coach of the Year, that's turned out to be an incredibly bad hire.
Yep.
I think long term, the Flames will regret bringing Sutter back. As much as I loved him as a fan and do love him as a fan, and historically, there's a lot of ties there, and he did good things with the team he had. Re-signing him to the extension is what cost this team both Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau. And at that point, now you're scrambling to maybe keep Lindholm. I think the longer that situation goes, the worse it looks on the Flames. I think they either need to get him signed to a contract or get him dealt and move on. I like their opportunity to be good again this year. I think they've got good players, but I think they're probably a year or two away from reinvigorating the putting the youth in the lineup, getting them NHL experience, and trying to turn around a quick rebuild.
Brian in Hudson Bay, regarding your contention that the Stamps will be there in the end. It's an interesting comment. He writes this on the EMJ Marketing text line, 902-518-3033. He says, so if they get in the playoffs with 6 or 7 wins, that's something that you would be proud of? I would rather my team don't make the playoffs if they're that crappy. I don't believe that, Brian, but anyways.
That's dumb. Honestly, that's dumb. There's a thought process to, hey, in some sports it's better to not make the playoffs than it is to make the playoffs as a bad team. In the CFL, that's not the case. There is not enough draft capital between the first overall pick and the 4th overall pick to consider tanking a season out to get anybody in the draft, because the best players aren't playing here anyway. They're playing south of the border. So are you really fighting about the 12th best Canadian football player versus the 15th best Canadian football player? No, of course not. make the playoffs. We saw an 8-10 team win the Grey Cup here. We've seen Ottawa went in and beat the Stampeders for a Grey Cup. They were 8-10. It's entirely possible for a garbage team to get hot for a couple of weeks and win themselves a championship, no matter what the regular season says. And the CFL is the best league to do that.
Well, Brian's a big Rider fan, and I know for a fact if they were 6-12 and got into the playoffs, he'd be happier than anybody.
He'd be at the game.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate you, Brian, but come on, let's get real about it. Jim, our Landmark Cinemas winner, and can you stay one more segment?
Yeah,
a quick one after this. Yeah. Jim in Balgony writes in, he says, woohoo, going to the movies. Thanks, RP crew and Landmark. He won the contest, but he also says changing coaches in Edmonton is very similar to rearranging chairs on the Titanic. Sinking ship no matter what they do. Oh, no, says Jim in Balgony. You had a take on the switch.
I've got some thoughts on Edmonton. I think you just get rid of everybody and pay the fines and forfeit the draft picks. These kids right now that are coming out in this draft year are still the kids that were affected by COVID football, which means they missed an entire season of training. They didn't really have a full season the next year after that. And so you're not going to get the kids that are as developed as they should be. I think you fire everybody in Edmonton, you pay the fines, you pay the penalties for going over, and you forfeit the draft picks, max out, and just move on. I think it's because it's not just the coach in Edmonton, because the coach is also the DC and the GM. The one guy that you need to get rid of is wearing so many hats that you can rearrange the chairs on the deck chairs on the Titanic.
And how much is going to change?
You're giving hats to everybody else. You know, you're giving G. Roy Simon the GM job for real. You're maybe finding somebody that these players will respect, because right now, running Cornelius out there again and again and again and again, I don't know how anybody in the Edmonton locker room believes that Jones wants to win a game.
We're not done on this, but we're going to take a brief pause. We've got James Junquist coming up from the harness racing circuit to tell you what you need to know about what's going down at Century Downs every weekend. One more segment, though, with Ryan Ballantine, Stampeders Chief Punk, when we come back right after this on Game Plus, WQEE, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
My name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Ryan Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. There's always something happen down here. But particularly tonight, tomorrow, harness racing, the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association World Finals coming your way August 23rd to the 27th. You can get your tickets now at showpass.com. Arnie Jackson did such a great job of promoting it yesterday. One more segment with our man Ryan Ballantine here. And because I said, what have we not covered yet? We've covered almost everything. And you said we have not got into Sask Ottawa yet, the finale of Week 9 in the Canadian Football League, and we'll talk about it here on this Football Friday. Ottawa favored by 1 at our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal, going in. How do you feel about that line and the game?
I mean, smash it. Smash that line. That's too low. You
think Ottawa should be favored by more?
Yeah, 4 or 5. If I were putting a line on that game, I'd say 4 or 5. Mason's not fine. Let's be real. Like, how about that? Let's call a spade a spade. Mason Fine is not a CFL quarterback.
Ooh.
He's just not. And they're, they were marginal with Harris at quarterback. They were a marginally successful team with Harris at quarterback. They are not close to a marginally successful they're not close to a playoff team, as long as Mason Fine is in the seat. And Dolega, is that how you pronounce
Dolegala?
Dolegala. I don't think he's good either. I don't think that he's... Sorry, it's not that they're not good quarterbacks, but the combination of the players they have around them, it's not good enough. They're not good enough to win with that team. And I don't know that they continue to win, and that's unfortunate, I think, for Craig Dickinson, because he doesn't make the best calls sometimes. And sometimes coaches can get away with that if they've got a team on the field that can win. This is not a team on the field that can win.
But the record shows that. And what's interesting is we talk about Jones up in Edmonton, and I don't know, you're not a fan, correct? On what went down here?
I haven't liked Chris Jones for a long time. For me, it's about how he goes about his business. The way he left Calgary left a bitter taste in my mouth. The way he left Sask, or the way he left Edmonton for Sask the first time, and the way he left Sask for Edmonton, like the way he left Sask for a high school job somewhere, and then he ended up in the NFL. Like, it just every step he makes, you look at him and it is very clear. And I get that everybody's out for themselves at the end of the day, but it is clear that Chris Jones cares about Chris Jones only. And I don't care what room he's in, Chris Jones cares about Chris Jones. I get the feeling that Dave Dickinson cares about his players to a degree of, yes, it's mutual success and all of those things. I think Dave Dickinson cares about his players. I think Craig does. I think there's a lot of guys across the league that you would say, yeah, that coach really cares about me as a human being as well as a football player. I believe Chris Jones cares about Chris Jones. And if you're not doing well for Chris Jones, he doesn't give a damn about you.
Do you, is there any part of you that respects that he doesn't care what you think or I think or anybody thinks?
No, not really. I mean, congratulations, you're an asshole all over the place. Like what? Well, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to celebrate that as a you know, you don't care. The reason he sucks now is because he hasn't cared for so long, and somehow people have bought into that bravado and given him more and more responsibility everywhere he goes, and results are getting worse and worse and worse. So why would you continue to give this guy more power when he's just doing less?
Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Chris Jones will consider this a successful season if all the paychecks clear.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. If he can,
we got some good stuff going on.
If he can turn this into a fast food job somewhere in Georgia, he'll consider that a promotion. I don't understand Chris Jones as a human being. I don't understand him as a football coach, and I certainly don't think that he is well suited to be wearing as many hats as he is.
Fair. I'm of that. He's always been good to me, and I know you respect that, right?
I respect him as a defensive coordinator, certainly. But, you know, and he read the mean tweets. Not that they gave him the real tweets. Let's be honest about that. If you gave Chris Jones what fans are really saying about him, I don't know that he steps in front of the camera to read those.
Fair. Patrolman Pete goes on to say, Chris Jones is Dollarama Don Matthews. I don't want...
Wish.com.
When you're 0-8, you're going to have to put up with this.
Yeah.
And I guess if he doesn't care what people think, then he wouldn't care about this.
And it's
right?
not just 0-8. It's winless at home since 2019. He has the same.
That's not his fault.
He has the same amount of wins since 2019. He has the same amount of wins.
Yeah, but
as an
Elizondo was the coach in 2019.
Sure. But he has the same amount of home wins as Elizondo. He has the same amount of home wins as Milanovic, who was the coach during the COVID
never coached
system.
the game.
Yeah.
Milanovic has a better winning percentage in Edmonton.
Milanovic has a better winning percentage as the Elks coach since 2020.
Kevin
the Schooners have won as many home games as the Elks.
Kevin in Calgary says, I love this Ryan guy. Great takes. Before I let you go and we bring in James, just David in Winnipeg mentions, David Asplin says, with Ryan being a Calgary guy, does he have any interest in the CEBL? First year with the Surge, they finished first in their home Sunday night. Are you following the league at all?
I haven't gotten into the CEBL yet. However, my son was asking about going to a game recently.
There you go.
So
what got him into it?
I'm sure it's social media, TikTok. Somebody at school showed up in a Surge hat. He was like, "Oh, we should go check out a game," he said. So at that point,
$37, brother.
I'm going to take him down and we'll see what we can do. See if we can get in there. I'm always interested in more sporting events, just not college football. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what the Surge are doing. I mean, they were obviously successful this season. And
well, they're home Sunday night,
and we'll see what they can do.
Conference final. Their playoffs are set up like the CFL. So there's play-in games tonight. Brampton at Scarborough in the East, Edmonton at Winnipeg in the West, and we're following it very closely. Ryan Ballantine, enjoy the game tonight. Stay safe, and I appreciate the time.
Pleasure as always. Happy to be here.
We'll be right back with overtime and a special guest after this final timeout. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE podcast, and YouTube live from Century Downs.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
There is a look in Century Downs Racetrack and Casino racing tonight and Saturday, and we're going to tell you why you need to get down here this weekend or next weekend, the weekend after, and then your chances will be gone. James Junquist joins us at Century Downs, and our good friend Karen, the marketing manager here, kind of gave me your bio, your resume. Retired racer, driver?
Definitely for now. For now, I am.
Oh, he might come out of retirement. He's the Tom Brady of harness racing. James Junquist joins us. And announcing now, you might actually be the Tom Brady of harness racing, now that I think about it.
A few less championships than Tom, but I mean, I would like to work my way there if possible, I guess, right?
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Exactly.
Who wouldn't, right? So I found out a lot from you in about 2 minutes in the break, and I would just like you to repeat as much of it as you can on the air. Maybe first of all, we had Arnie Jackson here yesterday talking about the Pro Chucks World Finals here, August 23rd to the 27th. People see it over their shoulder. Tickets on sale at showpass.com. But that isn't what you do.
No, man. We do kind of the same thing, but we're a little bit more like the Ferrari version of that. We don't have the Outriders. They go a lot faster. They still have a rolling start behind a gate instead of the standing start for the standardbred. So it's a lot of fun. We get up to about 55 kilometers an hour. I know that because I was at about 55K when I had one stop and send me head first into the track about 2 years ago.
Really?
That's why I say Lightning Mike Hennessy is my best friend. He was the only guy in the race that didn't run me over. So, I mean, that was nice of him. He's also my ski partner. We spend quite a bit of time up north, but it was time for me to step back at that point, I think.
And you're announcing now.
Yeah, I work with my cohort, Josh Murphy. We do a lot of in-between analysis in the races. And, you know, we have a lot of fun. We may not pick the winners like track announcer Murray Slough, but we have a lot of fun missing sometimes.
So Trey Colbeck is watching, pardon me, he says, number one, he goes, it's James time. He's an announcer in Winnipeg, right?
Absolutely, Mr. Manitoba, he's my boy.
Ryan in Toronto says, the shows have been great all week, Rod and team. Well, it is true team effort, but we love Century Downs. It's such a wonderful home for the program. We've had great guests all week. And Lots to get into here with James. You just said the harness racing horses go faster than the chucks?
Yes, they do.
I would not have bet on that. How much faster?
About 10, 15K at top speed. One of the things about them is the chucks are pulling a heavy wagon. Even though there's 4 of them and they're galloping, our horses have to stay on a pace. They have to, left legs, right legs have to move at the same time. So you see them out there, they have hobbles. The chucks, there's 4 of them, they're pulling a heavy wagon. The heaviest thing that the harness horses are pulling are the driver and the bike. The wagon they pull or the bike they pull is about maybe 40, 50 pounds with wheels and everything, and then you add a driver, either like Mike Hennessy, comes in around 180, or one of our good friends, and he's probably listening right now, Chris Duns of Dun Brown, comes in around 260. So definitely a different size variant.
No kidding. So that's the other thing. So you guys are racing every Friday and Saturday night, but I see these horses going around the track every day. Can you explain their schedule?
Well, so most of the horses, they'll race, say if they race Friday, they'll get Saturday, some of them Sunday off, depending on how hard they race or what class they're in. They'll come back and go 4 or 5 laps, which would be about 3 miles on their first day. After that, they get kicked up to about 5 miles. During the week, some guys, depending on their schedule, will train a horse in the middle of the week. They'll go a mile somewhere around 240 to 220 just to keep them in shape. Some guys just jog all the time. Like it's really just a sense of your own schedule, and that's why you see some guys that are winning at a different rate than other guys. It's just like a coach of a team. Each player is individual.
Our viewers sticking with us. Number 1, Jeff the Stamps fan says 260. Would that not be a disadvantage?
One of the things about the sulkies that we have is they're built almost on a fulcrum. There's leverage. If you look at the way the wheel is set to where the seat on the bike is, it actually provides a bit of lift for the horse. So the weight it can be a disadvantage on a muddy or off track, but on a fast track, it's not as much as you would think.
Viewer Connor Anderson says, so where are these races? You got them peaked now.
We're here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. You can find us on HPI Bet. You can find us on all over the place. I'm sure Karen will put it up on our website for us to find. We'll get it out there, but it's a great product to watch. We have a horse like Shark Week who's won 7 races in a row. He went a mile in 1:49 and 2, which is faster than anybody outside Quebec and Ontario has ever gone. So he's back tonight trying to win 7 in a row, but he's been off for about a month. So it's going to be tough to see him maybe take on that field tonight. And on top of that, there's a horse in there, Outlaw See My Shadow, that had won 15 in a row in BC. So we have some very good animals out here, and it's impressive to see them go, especially Shark Week. He's been begging to go out east, but owner Lauren Duffield really wants to have an amazing horse here to watch. So we're blessed to be able to keep him around.
I'm fascinated. Shark Week.
Yes.
That's his name?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is a 5-year-old right now.
Wow. And who trains him?
He's trained by Rod Hennessy. His son Mike Hennessy drives him right now. Actually, in Trot Magazine, it's a standardbred, kind of our ESPN mag or Sports Illustrated. They're the cover horse right now, Mike and him. It's an amazing story. If you can find the article on standardbredcanada.ca, it's a really good read. I don't want to tip too many people off to it, but the ups and downs of the horse and the driver are a heart-wrenching story, and it's really something you should get into.
There you go. Wow, I love it. Thank you for that. And that's the other thing. So they're asking, where are the races? Where are you located? We're at Century Downs, Northeast, Calgary. I don't know. Are we specifically Balzac? Is that? Yeah. Technically Balzac, Alberta, just north of Calgary. But this is, we've talked a lot with the Chucks and the Stampede and Bull Bustin'. Let's just stick to the horses. This is the horse racing mecca right here where we're at.
Absolutely.
And I'm talking about the streaming and the televisions and the lounge too. Like if you want to bet on horses, this is where you come.
Absolutely, right? Rod. And so this is something that I love to explain to people about pari-mutuel gambling, or when you bet on horse racing. When you come in to bet on horse racing, you're not playing the casino. We're playing each other, right? So if you come to the races Friday or Saturday night and we're sitting down, it's basically like a fantasy team. Like say for a pick 4, for example, where you're going to pick 4 races together and they're in a row, and you need to pick the winner of those 4 races. If there's an average of 8 horses per race, basically those are your 8 players you can pick from. So you can pick all of them if you want. Just more players you pick, the more it's going to cost, right? And at the end of those 4 races, there's a pool that pays out. And if you're one of the winners, you and whoever else has won shares in that pool. So it's a fantasy league that just runs for 4 races. I think is the easiest way for me to somebody that hasn't been to the track to wager to do that. And we have a pick 5 wager that's a 20-cent bet. So you can pick 3-4 horses per race and not spend $50. And our pick 5 carryover last year was up to well over 10 grand at one point. So,
well, and the events that you have here. Well, here's Trey in Winnipeg. Writes that he says Century Downs is the top track in Western Canada. Sorry, other tracks, but it's true. And the interesting thing, how I love getting my eyes opened after years and years and years as the voice of a team, we're explaining why this is more fun now. It's like when I went to the LPGA Canadian Women's Open, I walked up to the golf course and I was like, this is the Super Bowl at a golf course.
Absolutely.
Coming here for Packwood Grand on Saturday. I thought, it's nice. Karen tried to prepare me for it. Nope. Immense.
It's quite an event. It's between Packwood Grand and Karen Franco and Josh and Fiorella and the rest of the marketing department, Kyle here, they do an amazing job. The facilities people too, getting this place ready and making it available for that many people. And the horsemen like it too, because I mean, we'll have a video probably up soon that has one of the horses coming down the stretch, and you see just being surrounded by the crowd and the roar of the crowd as they come in it's really cool to feel, and it's something that I really like to see happen daily or every race day here, because I mean, if you can put 200,000 people in the chucks over a 10-day period, there's no reason we shouldn't have 1,000 people per race day here.
Plus, you have a beautiful facility to come to.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You turn the corner and you see the Rocky Mountains right behind you. Who doesn't love those?
Yeah, so there you go. There's your harness racing promo from Mr. Junquist. Somebody wrote in here and said, what a great football Friday. And it was, but we should mention that you are a fan of the purple.
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
You know, it's rough. Being steeped in mediocrity their entire history is something apparently I look for in a team. Both my favorite teams are absolutely as mediocre as you can get. So, yeah, apparently Delvin Cook is useless these days. I don't understand that.
Why he can't play there, yeah.
We're just going to keep throwing the football deep down the field to the other players. Jefferson, he's only so good. You know what
JJ.
I mean? The other JJ in the world that's not me, he's only so good. We got a rookie that's going to be amazing, but I think we need to find a quarterback. And Kirk Cousins, God love him, please throw to the purple team.
I love it. Have you watched Quarterback on Netflix yet? Have you had time?
I have not yet.
You got it. When you have a chance, watch it. You might actually start to like Kirk Cousins. And Jeff the Stamps fan says, Kevin the Medium has nothing to say today. Kevin's here. He hasn't said a word all day. Write it down. James Junquist, thank you for coming down, man. Appreciate all you do, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the races.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right. There will be no show Monday, long weekend, so be safe, everybody. We'll be back on the air Tuesday, noon Eastern, right here on Game Plus TV and the Key Radio. Who has more fun than us?